Yeah, forward thinking.
That's a new buzz term now, it's forward thinking.
You got it. We'll put that in quotes.
Yeah, yeah.
Put long-range plan quotes forward thinking.
Yeah. If Carol's okay with this, your newsletter.
No, I want it simple and without negative connotation to whatever group it is or supporting or thoughts or words. I just think we need to come together and work on something.
Right, because theoretically, you get this group of people together, and then they're going to vote for whoever's going to be the chair of it and the co-chair and how that's going to work. It's going to be how it's done, but it's not going to get done without some components from the planning board and some components from the select board, because those are the components that have demonstrated some initiative to lead things for the past 10 years.
Plus they're informed, okay?
The other part, yes, and the other part that is very frustrating for me is meeting once a month. We table so many things. We look back at what we tabled from the last time, so it feels like nothing ever gets done. So if we want to do something with our recycling, we've had a Maine, which I found was very beneficial, but now what do we do with it? You know, we've got to stop and think about it. I mean, there's other types of things we need to talk about, look and get some data and some information, but are we going to settle with them? Not necessarily. What does zero sort do? What does Casella no sort do? You know, those are the things, and do we not do anything, you know?
I mean, I'd suggest to you that you, I don't know if there's any idea of who recycles. Pick out 4 people who regularly recycle and say, would you be on a committee? Would you look into this? Would you come up with ideas? Would you explore this and help the board out?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to, you bebop.
Well, and that's the hard thing, because even with us doing, you know, I certainly have the time, but yet I don't. But yet I don't, you know, and I think when you get other input for me to say, would you mind looking into this for me, it gives people ownership into helping their town. Not just leave it up to us who.
I mean, that's how it started, was with a committee.
Absolutely.
Recycling committee, that's how it was.
Wonder if we did a paper and on recycling day, you sign a notice paper.
Yeah, good
With the
idea.
people that are
Good
there
idea.
coming in and recycling.
Bruce.
One comment, the problem with picking someone for a recycling committee who are just from the group that recycle is that you're picking from that 15% of hardcore, and they don't represent the entire town well. You've got to look beyond just the people who are activists in something in order to include the whole town, everyone. For instance, I fall in that middle group of give me single source recycling, I'll be glad to do it. Am I gonna have 6 different bags and baskets? Sorry, not gonna happen.
I agree, but I think someone that recycles all the time, that one person would be very beneficial
Oh,
on.
absolutely, I just don't wanna see all the people
Right,
on something
right.
like that picked from that group, and that's
Right.
sort of what is suggested.
No, I don't think that's what
It's a
we
start.
were thinking. I think it's a good suggestion though to have somebody on there that's.
Oh, absolutely, at least one person that's hardcore.
Okay, where are we? I'm lost. Okay.
Not 4.
So, we need to make a recommendation, a motion, certainly put something in the newsletter.
I'd like somebody to actually write up what they want in the newsletter.
Do you want to write something up for the newsletter?
Sure. When's the newsletter going to go out?
Friday.
Do it tomorrow.
Send me a jingle in the morning. I have a busy day tomorrow, but I'll get something
Just
done.
3 lines.
Yeah, that'll
We
be
are
fine.
seeking your
Yeah.
volunteer and, you know, whatever.
Remind me about long range and what you say?
Strategic, forward thinking.
Forward
Is that
thinking.
Forward thinking.
In November, we're going to be looking for committee members for a long-range planning,
The
forward
future of
thinking
our
for the
town.
town.
Yeah, something like that. Just send me an email in the morning. I like Stephanie said, 3 sentences or less is fine.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion, we table.
Again!
What do we have to do with this? I mean,
You have
Do
to
we
appoint,
have- we have
well,
to get
this is what you have, well,
it's just.
3 people from the planning board will volunteer, then you should, 2 or 3 people, I don't know, however many people you want, and then however many public members you want. And we're thinking 7 was our target number, but if you want to have 8 or 9, because there's that much demonstrated interest, then that would be great. And it should be, like Bruce said, cover a diverse area. I mean, somebody probably should be, a finance type of person, or somebody familiar with that stuff. That would be good to have, or a personnel person, somebody, I don't know, somebody over in the back of the room is interested in doing that or not.
Stephanie, I think we, as a select board, are kind of not in control of the committee, but we need to know.
Well, we're gonna appoint it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so, yeah, I mean, I guess we could just table it. Like, it's not like we have any action to take
Table for
until.
further discussion.
Yeah, I guess you could table it until you get the citizen volunteers, and then that one's you're right. So that would be when you would action it. Once you get, some selection of volunteers from the citizenry, then you would, appoint, yourselves, and you take, the 3 people from the planning board that wanted to do it, and then the citizenry, and then they go off and do their thing and have some recording system back to you guys and operate independently.
So everybody's job is to go out and talk it up.
Right.
Yeah.
The newsletter comes out and asks for people interested, people who may be interested.
All right, my motion is we table the comprehensive plan that we have on here as old business until we get some volunteers that we're gonna put out in the newsletter for asking for volunteers and see what we get at our next meeting and go from there.
Do I have a second? All those in favor? Okay. All right, let's move on. We're getting lengthy here, for God's sake. Okay, Ice Be Gone. That's the next thing on our list. This is another thing. What?
What is that?
What is it?
Ice Be Gone?
Yeah.
Were you here last
The
week?
last meeting.
Were you here at the
Yeah, I
last
was
meeting?
here last week.
That was the gentleman that talked about the molasses saturated salt.
Dirty salt.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The salt, right?
So, again, this is another issue. We brought this gentleman here, what he had sounded extremely reasonable. I called the town manager in Union. That was the town they gave reference to. Much bigger place than we have. They have 75 miles of road that they plow and a big public works crew and whatever. But he said they were the only town in their surrounding area that went out on a limb to use this. Positives and negatives. The positives are it did decrease their amount of sand and their cleanup time. After a storm, he said we had trucks and employees and staff running all night to get ice scraped off, snow taken care of and whatever, and they did notice a difference. I think they have used it 1 year. He said they put it on as a pre-treatment when they know it's going to be very cold. He said, like, your first snowfall, and he even said October, and I barked at him. That when you think there's going to be flurries or something, not an appropriate time. And he said they've kind of picked and chosen when they were going to do it because it is more expensive than just regular salt sand. He said, and there are some storms that even if you put on this treated salt to begin with, like Rebel Hill, you are still going to have sand. But he said, I'm sure you have people in your community that watch a lot of product put down and say it all washes off the road and it's gone. But he said, realistically, what happens, and especially with this, is if you put it down, it sits there, vehicles tramp it in before a storm starts, and then it lays there and does what it's supposed to do, to kind of keep the road bare, use it as a surface treatment, and he said it works that way very well. It has a rust inhibitor. I asked him about the corrosiveness to their equipment and stuff, and he said it is less corrosive than the regular salt that we use right now. And then I asked him about expense, and he said you have to look at it and kind of think about what you're going to do as far as your town's concerned. And I told him, he said, what you might want to think about doing is trying it on one road. So my thought, of course, would be Rebel Hill. He said, because you don't want to go buy, a belly dump full of this stuff, however many yards we get, and then find out that it's too costly. It doesn't work as well as you anticipated because it's not being used properly. I told him about our roads that are some tar, then it goes to gravel, and then it goes to tar again. He said the part about that also is if you use it anywhere near the springtime, then it gets on dirt and it makes mud, real sloppy stuff. So you know, the purpose of us trying to do it and having one load for just a tarred road and then not using it on the other seems kind of convoluted to me. So I spoke to him, I didn't have any other towns to call. He really favored it. He felt in the long run, the cost, it decreased the cost of sand and it decreased the amount of time for their public works crews to clean things up. And he said a lot of people in surrounding areas of towns were really barking about their roads not being as clear as Union roads were. So, certainly has a benefit. He recommended perhaps calling the place in Searsport. He said your cost is going to be the transport time. That's when he recommended maybe getting a truckload of it and trying it on a storm. You know, he said, I don't know. Does that mean you need a special truck just to go up and down? No, well, no. How's that work? How's that coordinated? How's that scheduled? It can be in any of the trucks that are used. You don't have to get a special sander or anything to go on it. He said it's less corrosive. I said, well, what happens if we decide to do this and then we have a contractor that refuses to use it? And that's what he told me about being less corrosive. I mean, it would be a trial test to see. I don't certainly think we're in a position to stockpile this stuff and start using it until we gather some more data. But I just wanted to share that information with you. I mean, it sounds good, but I'm not sure.
I really think the only road in town that it would be useful on is Rebel Hill.
Yeah, I do
Because
too.
the other roads have the dirt,
Yeah.
most of the other roads have dirt and hot top and wouldn't want help.
Another thing that I would like to do as well is to see if whoever gets our contract has thoughts about it, feelings about it. He said they, you know, the guys from this, whatever this surface was, came and spoke to contractors, you know, and told them about it, educated them, because I think that's something we should add into our data bank of what we need to.
When you're in
Figure
a
out.
municipality that has public work departments and whatnot, it's easier to incorporate something like that.
Absolutely.
Than it is when you have independent contractors.
That's right.
Because I suspect no matter who we have for a contractor, they're not going to know that much about this. So they're gonna have to get educated in how to use it, everything.
I
It's
agree.
not going to be easy for us to mandate that they do that.
Yep. Well, I think we're just at data gathering. I don't think we're at any resolution or decision making by any long-range plans.
It's good information to have because,
And the contractor
you
might
know,
know.
down the road,
Yeah.
we may very well want to do it,
Yeah.
you know, and we know what it is and.
Yep.
Thank you for calling.
You're very, very welcome.
Good to hear from someone that's using it.
All right, food for thought. This PACE program, Cindy gave me information on it. Apparently we had this come before the board before, and we poo-pooed it. I don't remember why. I don't remember if the rules and regulations have changed, but it says Maine PACE is now available. Let me just tell you a little bit about what this is. Maine PACE is a revolving loan program seeded by a $20 million grant to Efficiency Maine from the United States Department of Energy. The grant was submitted by Efficiency of Maine to DOE on behalf of all Maine municipalities. In order for homeowners to be eligible to get a PACE loan of $65,000 to $15,000 to make energy efficiency improvements to their property, the town in which the home is located must pass a PACE ordinance per LD 1717 state law that was passed April 2010. Traditional PACE legislation involves direct administration by municipalities, and even though the Maine version of PACE provides for Energy Efficiency Maine to administer the program for municipalities, the state law continues to require the passage of a PACE ordinance on a town-by-town basis. That seems to ring a bell, but we thought we were going to have to manage that money or something, and that's
No,
why we didn't want
The
to do
state
that.
doesn't.
So I think this may be why it's now available, maybe new and
It was
better.
so new when we were.
Yeah,
No, it's the same one, because I talked to the guy in Augusta.
No, when we first talked about it, we brought this forth, but when you
A
first
couple of
started.
years ago,
Yeah,
because a
yeah.
couple residents wanted to
Right.
participate in it,
But
but
the
couldn't.
town of Hamden's had it for 8, 9 years.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep.
And it's the same program. that,
Yeah,
I think
They
maybe it
had
just
for-
maybe wasn't understood when we
Right.
presented
maybe,
it.
maybe. If you live in a town where ordinances must be passed by referendum, PACE may be placed on the ballot for passage at a special election or upcoming annual meeting. Passing a PACE ordinance and establishing an administrative contract with Efficiency Maine makes the program available in your community.
and that's all you do.
There's a website for more detailed information. Loans are, and explained as part of this was that if people qualify and they have to go through a pre-qualified program that they do,
Yeah,
all of the questions, they have to have an energy audit, they have to submit quotes, Maine Energy does all this stuff. And then they set up a loan program, but that money that goes back into them is put in now, the same fund to reuse that for somebody
the
else.
money that's being paid.
Somebody
back.
else that wants to use it to insulate or do something with their home. So, the information is here. It's something that if we're interested, could be put on our referendum to help our townspeople this winter. Conversation about it, thoughts on it. Part of this is that it does not, and it states this a couple of times, the only thing we have to have is an ordinance. We do not do loans, we do not help in the application process. Bruce?
I remember when this came up a couple of years ago and you sent it over to the planning board.
We did.
And- Yes, you did.
Why would we do that?
Because it was an ordinance.
Oh, okay.
And I remember, at least, I probably still got it somewhere at home. My concern was, yes, you just have to pass the ordinance, but the way the ordinance is written, while right now they don't require anything of the town other than having the ordinance opens you up to the state mandating you do different things. And that was,
Yeah,
there was in very specific ways that was worded in that ordinance, and you have to pass their ordinance.
Okay.
I was really iffy on the way it could be, oh, well, we're telling you now you have to do this.
Typically, government programs such as this, the devil's in the fine print.
Mhm.
And usually they're worded in such a way that the managers of the program can alter the requirements of the program as time goes on. And many of the programs are very good, some are not so good. I would suggest that whatever the town does, it's the devil in the details. Very, very careful. If you have to pass an ordinance, they're going to probably have some very specific language in that ordinance that you need to make sure you fully understand. I'm not saying whether you vote against it or for it, just make sure you fully understand it. Because these programs usually have some fairly good tentacles that just be aware.
Well, and that's what, the part of it is, this little piece of paper says, town meeting question, shall the town of Clifton enter into a property assessed clean energy PACE program agreement with the Efficiency Maine Trust and authorize the city/town manager to sign the same? Sign what? The agreement, the research,
Contract,
the course of the contract.
but they can't sign the contract until the town adopts an ordinance authorizing the program. There's a contract. One of the documents is a contract. You can call, there's a list of like 100 and some odd towns in the state that are participating in it.
I think we should just table this
Yeah.
because it's not even on the agenda and we can't do anything if it's not on the agenda. So let's maybe gather some information, ask some questions, get a copy of this ordinance. Maybe if we all have a chance to read it before the next meeting,
I was
we can come
looking,
here more prepared.
I was looking for a
Did I give
number.
you the list of the towns?
No,
I'll get your
and
list.
there's no number or anything, it's just the website, Efficiency Maine, so I wanted to
Yeah, that's
look
where
at
all the
that as
documents
well.
come from.
I wanted to get on and look
There's
at
a
that as
phone
well.
line, there's a phone number on there to contact.
Okay.
I'll make a motion because it wasn't on the agenda, that we put the PACE information on our next agenda and for copies to be available for us to
Yeah.
look up to review before our next
Okay,
meeting.
perfect.
Second motion.
All those in favor? Okay, somebody give you that. This thing that came to Julie and we opened today was just something from campaign manager Stephanie Harris, asking us to endorse Yes on One that would protect Maine's bears from these abortive practices.
Make a motion, we don't do anything with the letter, we don't.
Second motion.
Somebody second? Nancy, okay. All those in favor? Okay. Right. That's all I have. Any of you folks have anything?
I just noticed that that personal property tax issue is not on old business, but that really needs to stay on our agenda because
That didn't come back.
a conundrum we
Yeah,
have here,
yeah.
and we need to address it.
Needs to be on the agenda. Yeah, it should have been on the agenda, so.
Yes, Stephanie is giving some good information.
That was tabled from last month.
Well, I don't know if we ever table it
I
or,
think we did.
I don't remember what we did. We talked about it.
We'll get your minutes right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you just mentioned it in the
I
minutes.
don't think it was either. I don't remember reading that when I read that.
So you want me to just make sure I get it on the agenda? for next
Yeah,
month?
just don't forget about it, we can't forget about that.
On the auditor's supplement.
It's not on there, I already looked.
Anything else from select board?
I think we did talk about it.
The only other question I had was also our warming center day, but I don't want that to go on a back burner. What were we to, what do we need to do with that?
I don't
You know,
know about that.
just as, I've talked to a number of communities, and I didn't do a scientific sampling, but I've called a number of communities, see how they did it. Kind of the underlying theme, or number one, it's very informal, most of the towns.
Yep,
And number two, they had no written procedures. It was basically opening up a room at the fire station, library, or something like that.
okay,
For the most part, no major problems encountered. Most they were disappointed in the attendance. In fact, Bar Harbor, which I understand has a population of 5,000, they opened it in the fire station. No one showed up. But basically, it's very informal. I wrote an SOP that, in good government bureaucracy, has more information than really needs. The town wants to do it, they can. It's minimal investment, virtually no investment. I mean, if you want to make it, if you do it though, maybe you should have a microwave oven or coffee pot and Wi-Fi access. People want to come in and do, charge their phones or maybe check email or things like that.
yeah.
But the logistics of doing it, you essentially have a facility already. And you already have a staff building. You certainly not want to do it. You need to have a presence, a town presence. So that's basically it. Otis opened the school. People could actually come in and take showers, although once again, they didn't have data available. It was very small. Eddington opened up their meeting room. Didn't offer any amenities. Basically, you come in, and there were outlets and things like that. You could charge a phone. Wasn't sure about whether they had internet access, but they had maybe a total of 10 people kind of drift in. Interestingly, United Way has two big warming centers. One in Waterville that they're not going to renew next year. It was in a donated building, or a businessman allowed them to use a building, and they were able to come up with stuff, but they did not reach the target audience, which for them was going to be elderly,
Okay,
unfortunately, they didn't attract that kind of crowd. It was a big one in Augusta, which was also United Way. They have resources the town doesn't have. And bottom line is, it's easy enough to do. It's how bureaucratic, to me the question is how bureaucratic you are thinking. You want to have written procedures, or just basically open up the, you know, this room's essentially open anyway here in the towers, is it not?
I mean, only on Wednesdays is this room open, but I mean, if there's a storm, I was gonna say, we
And basically notifications to the normal, you know, they have newsletters, they have email, they may have a, you know, a thing outside, a sign or something like that. But basically, the results were usually disappointing. But I'm not sure how aggressive they were in promoting it and that sort of thing.
maybe it's something we wanna at least put in the annual report as far as, you know, seeing who would be interested in it and how much the townspeople.
What you may want to do at the election, maybe have a little survey there. I mean, I could draft something up like that. But, I mean, these things are, oh yeah, I'd use it. Well, you know, I would take that with a grain of salt.
I know in the past when we've had major storms, we'd be lucky if we got 2 calls and someone needed water.
Yeah.
This town,
That
these
was-
people are survivors, they take care of
That
themselves.
was when we lost the power for a
Right,
week last
right,
year.
big storms, I mean,
She was worried about the cooking.
right,
They're warm.
yeah.
You know, Hopkins Pond Road, people open, you know, neighbors open their house, they generate.
Oh, yeah.
Come home, take
Yeah.
showers and things like that, so.
Well, I really appreciate the legwork you've done on it. I think if nothing, you know, if we should at least have a list of resources available here in the office. Does Eddington open up, you know, do they have a policy? I mean, I don't know how difficult it would be to find that information out, but if somebody calls in and says, I need a place to get warm, and if it's not feasible to have it here, then where do we send them? We know the
Well,
Red Cross and know that.
The
but-
ace in the hole here is the American Red Cross.
Right, exactly.
And, you know, that's the
Yeah.
kind of book solution is, if someone has a catastrophe, they call the American Red
Right,
Cross,
right.
and they can assist them in finding temporary
Yeah.
housing and that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
And we
Okay.
already have a disaster plan.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
anything else,
Thank you very much.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay, public access. Teresa?
Is it all right to give a campaign update?
Sure.
Okay. First thing is that this is campaign season and all kinds of candidates are going to go door to door to door to door. And if you're not home, they'll leave stuff on your door. So try to be a good neighbor, and if your neighbor goes to the hospital or on vacation and you're getting mail and newspapers, try to get whatever's sticking on people's doors as well, so the folks don't think their homes are empty. Did anybody notice that in their junk mail this weekend? Well, it went out to 6,000 houses, and I'll pass it out again because even I had to go back into my trash and I knew it was coming. But on the back of it is an invitation to Combs Hall on October 11th, so that there will be an open public meet and greet social.
Oh, good.
And I think I have mentioned that I'm doing this on Clean Election Campaign Funds, which is taxpayer money. And good for you, good dollars. So I'm trying to, instead of doing all these mailers and stuff in your mailboxes, to put the money back into the community. So I'm gonna rent Combs Hall, and that money will go back and help to maintain the hall. I'll try to get food and things from local vendors. This is open to the public, so anybody can come. I'll try to do it family oriented with a lot of games and maybe apple cider and cookies. And I want to do a pumpkin chucking thing, which is piñatas instead of really pumpkins. So hopefully it'll be fun, and you can meet your new neighbors, and we do have them because we have been refigured. We're now with Clifton, Eddington, and Holden are used to being together, and Easy and North Brewer are part of our communities. Now I have been going door to door, and that has been a lot of fun. And I'm just going to pass this around for S&Gs because one of our new neighbors grew this, and they told me if I can, because I was telling them about my little piñata thing, they said if you can chuck this pumpkin, you can have it. And I think it weighs about 300 pounds, and that was a few weeks ago, and we still haven't had frost. But I'm hoping that folks come out to this October 11th event just to meet and greet their new neighbors and to meet the candidate. I can only spend the money on introducing people to me. I can't support another issue or another candidate or a party or anything, but I can try to create some community spirit. And that same evening, I will be having an event that is for invitation to all the selectmen, because I go to all of these, many of these board meetings as I can go to, so that we can get folks from the different communities to meet each other and talk about the jobs that we do and the challenges that they meet, and to have folks tell the candidates who will be there. I'm inviting like all the selectmen, and so Mr. Lyford, who is in Edmonton, is a selectman, and he will also be invited. But the idea really is to have people to get together, find out what the common threads are, what they want to see done, and have the candidates just shut up and pretty much listen, which is an unusual thing. But hopefully, instead of just stuffing mailboxes and buying TV ads, people can walk away with relationships from the local towns, and we can learn more about the different folks who bid on the contracts and the kind of work that you're satisfied with and what challenges you meet as towns. And as you said, what are you putting on your roads and what are you doing with this and that and the other? It's just a chance for you guys to actually get together, maybe create something lasting out of this election besides getting elected, but building some form of community out of what we already have.
Is that happening that day, or is that
That'll be the
day?
evening of that day.
Oh, okay.
We'll send out invitations
Okay.
for that. But, so this is just a talk during the day, and then there will be something in the evening,
Okay,
hopefully. I think that's it.
thank you.
Have you seen the pumpkin?
Yes.
That's fun.
Anybody else?
I know.
Cindy?
I know you love to see me come up here. I know you can't do anything about this right now, but I want to bring it to your attention for the next meeting. I, on July 18th, left a letter here, request of Rick, because I had concern on a 10% surcharge that's being charged on plumbing permits. I had inquired with Becky, with Debbie earlier, sorry.
It's late.
She talked to him, he came back with the same answer. I got no response after a month till last meeting, which was the 20th. He was not very nice. I was borrowing trouble where there wasn't, or I was looking for trouble where there wasn't. I have backup. There's the letter that I gave him, is the first page. The second page is chapter 241 from the main subsurface waste disposal laws that shows what the town, minimum the town charges. And it also says under fees, number 2, that the town can vote an ordinance to increase this. We have not done this, although these charges are being charged to the residents of Clifton. If I had got a response from Rick to my letter, he'd have realized and could have fixed it. But instead, I was not treated or responded to very nicely. What I would like done about it is the fees to stop. Plain and simple. I mean, we don't have a right to charge them, I don't think we should, and I think they ought to stop. And I don't think this town, for the amount of permits that go out, warrant charging 10% for a surcharge for administration. I really don't.
When did this change? You know,
Wasn't that way when I was here.
does anybody remember having
We
that
talked
change?
about it today, it was when he was hired, it was 2004? No, 3 or 4.
I was gonna say we should technically go back and
Right.
refund people
There
their
is
money,
chance.
Technically,
but that's
he's
a
also
lot of
not
permits.
charging the $15 fee on external permits, which is mandated, which he argued with me, never heard of it. So there is a document in here that I believe the last page that was sent to every town in 2009. So I don't know what's gonna happen when DEP catches up with the town of Clifton. We'll get a big bill because we haven't been collecting that either. So,
Well, in conversation with Rick today, because I had a conversation this morning, Rick gave me and has talked to James Jacobson, which is his boss, apparently from Department of Human Health and Services or Environmental Health. Originally, he gave me, I have the Maine Revised Statutes here, and he has the one that you quoted from that is from the fees, but also there was one that says, "Good morning, Rick. The ability of municipalities to set fees above the state minimum is found in Title 30A, 4215, parentheses 4, and it says fees.
Yeah.
The plumbing inspector shall issue any permit under this section upon receipt and approval of a completed application form as prescribed by the commissioner and payment by the applicant of the fee established by the municipality." So there is stuff to support it. His decision was that it had been done, and he described it as administrative fees for the town for do whatever it was. It was a 10% that came back to the town. He does not accrue that money. And he's talked to this James Jacobson at length with him about it. There's no mention of the surface, whatever that charge is in there. He has it here listed, but not as a $15 fee, and I don't see a date on this one, so.
But the thing is the 10% surge fee that is charged, the only way it can be charged is through an ordinance adopted by the people. It's the only way you can, the minimum, if you want to increase the minimum amount set by the state, and that paperwork I just gave you says that, you have to adopt an ordinance and let the people decide if or if not they want to charge it. Can only be done by an ordinance.
And in talking to Rick, we went back and looked at some of the minutes, and it had been talked about, and so we are researching. Rick is pretty sure it was done.
An ordinance? I know it wasn't.
Well,
I know there was not an ordinance
I have no idea.
regulating
Does it
fees.
have to be an ordinance or a policy?
An ordinance, it has to, it says right there, if you look, it has to be an ordinance adopted by the legislative body.
Oh, I'm reading what he gave me. This one?
It's on the first page.
What you gave me.
I had never heard of it before, but inquiring and doing a little research, there are towns in the state that charge it, but they do it by ordinance. Town of Bar Harbor is one. They really need the money.
Didn't we find out that all the towns that he's,
Yeah, that's all these guys.
That's a 10%.
What I was told when I first inquired with Debbie, he said was, I do it in all my towns. It's okay. What he told me sitting here at the last meeting is, it's okay, the board adopted it in their fee policy.
Can we put this on the agenda for next?
Yeah, we need to, but I want to make sure that you guys get copies of this stuff here too, so. You have a copy of
This?
Cindy's? Yep.
Oh, what Rick said,
And yeah, because I want you to have all of this stuff.
Yeah, Rick should be here.
Ready by Friday, was it?
Yeah, this is stuff that Rick gave me tonight, so if you
Could
just
I also have
photocopy
a
that.
copy of that recall ordinance on Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. Anything else? Paul?
Well, if you're gonna research, I mean, I've asked before, your fee schedule for everything should be posted somewhere.
Absolutely.
And I've asked, and it's never been.
Yeah.
And when you set the fees, you have to have a public hearing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to post that you're gonna do that, and so people can come in and be heard about that. So if you're gonna research, find out when you last did it, and if you did it right, and if you didn't, when you're supposed to do it again, and how to do it then.
I think they're supposed to be revisited every year, and this is one of the things that we've been very lax about. I have a fee schedule here in this mess someplace that
last
We
one was
went-
done in 2012.
we went back and did in 2012, so we need to do that again as well.
And I want to apologize for raising my voice earlier. I'm very tired and stressed, and
I hear you. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. we will do that. Anything else? And could somebody put that on one of the agendas, put that fee schedule on there? Okay. Post what we have, and then we have to go back and do it again. As far as CEO permits, and, I mean, those are all state mandated, just somebody clarify who sets these fees and all that. I mean, they've always been this way since I've been here. The only thing we've ever talked about is our copy fees and fax copy
Yeah,
fees,
these
so.
are set, it says here, set by the select board.
Yeah, that's.
But it's that recommendation of whomever brought it to us. How do we know what to charge?
Wait, 2 years ago, when we set fees, they were brought to us by Rick.
And the planning.
And the planning board, yeah,
And we adopted it.
approved their recommendation.
Yes.
And the subdivision thing must come from the planning board as well.
It's all in the.
Review fees continued, Board of Appeals, okay. All right, okay. You have a copy of that stuff?
Yes,
Rick's
fees.
thing.
Well, this is the fees
Yeah,
thing,
fees,
yeah. Because on this, we also need to add copy stuff, so it's all in one place, how much we charge for copies and fax and all
That's another thing, that, these policies that we've been trying to get to, the
Absolutely.
freedom of information policy.
Yeah,
You know, technically the state won't let you charge $15 an hour for copying after the first hour, it's supposed to be $10 an hour. So that's another thing that should probably be
Ooh.
looked at before
I
we.
know the paperwork we got.
paperwork we had was
was also
15, the class that we just went to for the
It
FOA
was-
stuff was
Yeah, it was in
15.
that term.
The first
Paperwork
hour
they
is
get from
free,
the
and then
classes
it's
they went
15
to.
an hour after that.
We can
You have
talk
something
about it
different,
when we
yeah,
do it, but
yeah.
I do have information from MMA that,
Yep.
that had a difference.
It's only 10?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look, because I've got my stuff
So
in
then
there
they
too.
did.
Because we took it right from the paperwork that they
workshop.
got from the class that they went to.
Yeah,
Okay, well, yeah, maybe I've got old data, but I did take it off the internet, you know, the MMA.
the site,
website.
yeah, okay, because we had,
We'll take a look at it
yeah,
again.
Amanda Meter and one of the other
Well,
attorneys did
I've
this
been
and
waiting
stuff.
for us to
Yeah.
do the policy before bringing it up, but I figured since we're talking
Well,
about fee
and
schedule.
that's something that we need to really look at. We need to set a date to get together and work on some of this stuff.
What's that one?
Budget will be coming up.
I know, and I'd like to get it out of the way before our budget. I mean, I'm certainly not constrained with children and job anymore, but the rest of you are, so, an idea, a date, thoughts, what are your school board meetings? Are those,
That's the first Wednesday,
okay, all right,
and I have Cub Scout Tuesdays, so a Wednesday, maybe.
a Wednesday would be
Well,
okay?
yeah, maybe the second Wednesday, but that's in October, that's the public hearing. I could do a Thursday or a Monday.
How about the rest of you? Nancy, what are your,
I'm available most of the time. First week of the month, I'm not available on Wednesday and Thursday, and the third week of the month, I'm not available on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
I can do whenever, as long as it's after 5.
yeah,
But some of it, you know, I can rearrange if I have.
Just, yeah,
Yeah, let's just set it
is Tuesday out of the question?
out of the question.
Okay,
That's my Cub Scout night.
okay,
do a Thursday, pick a Thursday.
I can't do Thursday right now.
Monday night?
Monday night I could do. How about
Monday
Mondays?
nights are good for me.
Okay.
They look like football.
Richard, what are you doing?
You're gonna miss the football game.
Oh, yeah, be still my heart, just be still my heart. Can we do it as soon as October 6th? Sound logical?
Good me.
Yeah, it's just a workshop.
5:30.
I mean, we could do the 29th if you wanna, I mean, I'm up for anything, I'm just asking for those of you that have a lot of demands. The 29th of September is 10 days away. That's a Monday.
Either one's fine.
Huh?
So